where we left off, colleagues on the public's. Well, please.
I would propose, given the length of our meeting today, that we postpone the filing penalties consent calendar and then the reductions ones. So items 4 through 9, we can postpone to the January meeting.
4 through 9, and we do stipulated final orders.
The consent calendar, that's
And then-
one
then-
vote and one
then-
other, and then the other two investigate.
Okay, well, let's do that, colleagues. In light of the executive director's comments, we will now proceed to the consent calendar that you see under stipulated final orders. There's 15 items there. My first question is, do any of my colleagues want any of those individual items to be pulled off the consent calendar? Hearing and seeing none, we'll consider the consent calendar intact as it exists. Vice Chair, please, a motion on the consent calendar for stipulated final orders.
I move the commission approve the proposed stipulated final orders presented on the consent calendar as the final orders in those cases, and the chairperson be authorized to sign them as such.
For the motion, the administrator will call the roll, please. Consent calendar.
Commissioner Mettler,
Aye.
Commissioner Jancy,
Aye.
Commissioner Halt,
Can I abstain from this? Because I'm a little confused on how this vote goes. I want to learn a little bit more.
No problem.
Thank you.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne. Aye. Chair Fiscal.
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0 with one abstention.
We'll now move to the individual stipulated final order and number 26 on your public session calendar. Investigator Pacheco, please provide us a report.
Thank you, Chair Fiscom and Commissioners. This is Investigator Daniel Pacheco for the record. Agenda item 26 in your meeting books is a stipulated final order for Earl Dean Smith, former fire chief for the Vernonia Rural Fire Protection District. On August 25, 2023, the commission voted to move this case to investigation to determine if Mr. Smith had violated provisions in RS Chapter 244. In the preliminary review report, it appeared that Mr. Smith had failed to declare a conflict of interest and used his official position when using district resources that were not part of his official compensation package. During the investigation phase, commission staff were able to verify Mr. Smith's violations of RS 244.040 sub 1 and 244.120 sub 1C. Mr. Smith has agreed and indicated he wishes to conclude this matter and has signed the stipulated final order. The order in your meeting books provides that Mr. Smith will pay a civil penalty in the amount of $500. We are recommending that the commission approve the stipulated final order. Thank you.
Investigator, any questions for our investigator? Mr. Smith, are you online today or on Teams?
Not see him.
Don't see him at the moment. Any questions for our investigator? Hearing and seeing none. Looking for a motion. Vice Chair, please.
I move the commission approve the proposed stipulated final order as the final order in this matter, and the chairperson be authorized to sign it as such.
For the motion, and the administrator will call the roll, please, on item 26.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne. Aye. Commissioner Mettler,
Aye.
Commissioner Jancy,
Aye.
Commissioner Halt,
Aye.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Chair Fiscom.
Aye.
Motion passed 7-0.
Okay, colleagues, we have no default final orders, no reports of investigation under consent calendar. We have 2 reports of investigations. The first one is item 27. My records indicate that Mr. Pritchard may be on Teams today,
And his attorney.
and Mr. Elkanich may be with him separately on Teams today. Are those 2 gentlemen in our virtual room?
Mr. Elkanich, so we just need a moment of
Please,
quiet so that we can let folks in.
please.
Both Mr. O'Connor and Mr. Pritchard are in and have the ability to, they need to.
Mr. Pritchard, Mr. Elkanich, can you hear me?
Good
Yes, thank you very much. For the record, I'm Dave Fiscom, Chair of the Commission. Thank you for your patience with our long agenda today. The time has come for us to hear a report on this matter. Our process first calls for a report from our investigator this day, who happens to be our executive director, Susan Myers. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Susan Myers. So the report that's in your meeting books is an investigation report. And so background, Mr. Pritchard served on the Roseburg Homeless Commission. He also was an executive director at the time of UCAN, which was this nonprofit entity that the city was purchasing property from and then contracted with to be the coordinator of the homeless services. So the allegations in the complaint were that he had failed to disclose conflicts of interest and may have engaged in a prohibited use of office because he was making decisions and taking actions that would financially benefit UCAN. And while it is clear that he may not have always properly disclosed conflicts of interest, inevitably what the report focuses on is, was UCAN a business with which he's associated under the definitions in our statute? And specifically, the language in ORS 244020 subsection 3, under subsection 2, UCAN is a business, even though it's a nonprofit, because he is a paid employee. But under subsection 3, the term business with which associated, the only entities that qualify are 3A, private business or closely held corporation, 3B and C, publicly held corporation, and 3D, SEI filer, source of income. Position, he's not an SEI filer. It's true that it's not a publicly held corporation, doesn't trade shares and stocks, which leaves it could only qualify as a business with which associated if it's a private business or closely held corporation. It is neither. It is a public benefit corporation. There are no shares, no ownership interests. The assets do not go to any member. So the conclusion in the books is he would not have been met with a conflict of interest because UCAN does not qualify as a business with which associated.
So your recommendation is to dismiss. Mr. Pritchard or Mr. Elkanich, in either order, any comments to make to us today as you observe this process?
Good afternoon, Chair Fiscum and Commissioners. Mr. Pritchard and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. We want to thank the Commission for all the time and care that they put into this matter, particularly with respect to the thoroughness of the investigation. But based on the record before you, we are in agreement with the investigator's recommendation and ask that the matter be dismissed.
Mr. Pritchard, any comments?
I would just echo what David has shared. Thank you.
Okay, colleagues, the time has now come to decide how to proceed on this matter. I'm looking for comments or consensus. Hearing and seeing no comments, Vice Chair, a motion, please.
For agenda item 27, I move the commission dismiss the complaint against Sean Pritchard.
Colleagues, you've heard the motion. The administrator will call the roll, please. Item 27 on the public session agenda.
Commissioner Thompson.
Aye.
Commissioner Payne.
Aye.
Commissioner Mettler.
Aye.
Commissioner Jancy.
Aye.
Commissioner Helt.
Aye.
Commissioner McCauley.
Aye.
Chair Fiscum.
Aye.
Motion passed 7-0.
Hey, colleagues, thank you, Mr. Pritchard, Mr. Elkanich, for your two things, for being with us today, for your brief comments and for your patience with our long agenda. Thank you for being here. The matter has been, in fact, dismissed. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Yeah, take care.
Okay, colleagues, we will now move to the second investigation, something we've seen before in one form, and we're seeing it again in a second form with the hard work of our investigator, Casey Fenstermaker. The individuals involved have not indicated an intent to appear before us today, so we will call on Investigator Fenstermaker to make her report.
Thank you, Chair Fiscum, Commissioners. I'm Casey Fenstermaker for the record. The next item on your agenda is case number 25-160 ECF regarding Greg Smith, Executive Director of the Columbia Development Authority. This case originally came before the commission in the form of a preliminary review report at the June 13th, 2025 commission meeting. At that point, the commission moved the case to investigation to determine whether Greg Smith had any conflicts of interest or used his office in a way that is prohibited under Oregon government ethics law while obtaining a salary increase for himself. This case was brought before the commission on December 9th, 2025, when the commission staff asked for and the commission granted a 30-day period of time to continue fact-finding in this case. During the extension of time, commission staff conducted additional interviews and collected additional documents and information. We now believe this case is ready for consideration. I'm going to break down the allegations into 3 distinct periods of time. First period is the application process for the 2024 OLDCC grant application. The second period is obtaining the CDA board approval for the 2024 OLDCC grant application. The third period is the time following the approval of the 2024 OLDCC grant application. First, I want to provide some background. Each year, the CDA files a grant application with the OLDCC, which stands for the Office of Local Defense and Community Cooperation. The grant is drafted by OLDCC and CDA staff. It's then submitted by the Port of Morrow, the CDA's fiscal agent. Funds from the grant are used to fund portions of various CDA operations, including personnel salaries. Based on information collected during the investigation, the budget information included in the grant application has historically been used as the operational budget of the CDA. Regarding the preparation of the OLDCC grant application, records indicate that while Greg Smith may not have participated in the drafting of the language of the grant application, it is clear from his own statements that he negotiated with OLDCC staff regarding the salary that should be included in the grant application. There are 2 issues with that at this point. Greg Smith, through his own admission, did not declare a conflict of interest as required prior to negotiating salary with OLDCC. That was necessary because he was taking an action that would financially benefit himself. It also resulted in a prohibited use of office because there is no record of the board approving the salary that was included in the grant application. Rather, it appears he was encouraged by 2 CDA board members to pursue the highest salary possible. However, the CDA board did not approve the salary increase in writing. And it's important to note that this was not just any increase. The original proposed salary was $238,000, more than $100,000 than his then current salary of approximately $129,000. It ended up at $195,000, what was in the application, a more than $66,000 increase. It's important to note that neither Greg Smith nor any other public official is prohibited from negotiating for a pay increase. However, the steps that a public official takes in obtaining that salary increase is really important. In order for the commission to find a violation of the prohibited use of office statute, the commission must find that Greg Smith is a public official, that he used or attempted to use his public position or office, the use or even attempted use of that position to obtain a financial gain for himself, and that the financial gain would not otherwise be available but for holding his public position. There is no dispute that Greg Smith is a public official as the executive director of the CDA. When considering the development of the grant application, the commission needs to consider the actions Greg Smith took. By his own admission, he negotiated with OLDCC to obtain a salary increase that was not approved by the board. He provided the salary numbers for inclusion in the grant application, according to one of the former CDA staff members. And he again, by his own admission, reviewed the application prior to its submission. Greg Smith therefore took actions to advance a pay increase that was not approved by the CDA board. He was only able to do that because of his role as the executive director of the CDA, and the salary increase would financially benefit Greg Smith. Second period of time is the approval of the grant application. It does not appear there was a prohibited use of office at this particular stage. However, there was a conflict of interest when Greg Smith failed to alert the CDA board that approval of the grant application would result in a financial benefit to himself when it was presented for approval at the June 24th, 2024 meeting. The third period of time followed the approval of the OLDCC application by the CDA board. 2 days after the application was approved, Greg Smith emailed the Port of Morrow as the CDA's fiscal agent and told the chief financial officer that because the grant application had been approved by the CDA, the new salary was approved and that he was entitled to retroactive pay back to April 1st, 2024, the first date of the grant period. At the September 20th, 2024 CDA meeting, the CDA board voted to rescind the salary increase and ordered what had been improperly paid to be returned. Based on information obtained through this investigation, it does not appear that was done. Again, Greg Smith was met with a conflict of interest because he took an action, emailing the Port of Morrow, to effectuate a pay increase and retroactive pay. That action would benefit him financially. There's no evidence that Greg Smith declared a conflict of interest at this point, despite being required to do so. With respect to the prohibited use of office, again, using the analysis, the commission needs to determine that he used or attempted to use his public position or office, that the use or even attempted use of the position to obtain a financial gain for himself, and that the financial gain would not otherwise be available but for holding his public position. And again, he took an action, emailing the chief financial officer to obtain a pay increase and retroactive pay, a financial gain. And he was only able to take that action because he is the executive director of the CDA. Greg Smith has argued that historically, the approval of the OLDCC budget has served as the approval of CDA pay increases. While that may be true, it doesn't mean that it comports with the requirements of the Oregon government ethics law. Based on information obtained through the course of this investigation, there are no policies, procedures, employee handbook, or any other document that has been provided that would support the argument that approval of the grant application had the effect of issuing a pay increase. It is for those reasons that the recommendation in this report is to make preliminary findings of violation, as there is a preponderance of evidence to establish that Greg Smith failed to properly disclose a conflict of interest on 3 different occasions. There's also a preponderance of evidence to establish Greg Smith violated the prohibited use of office provisions 244.040 subsection 1 on at least 2 occasions. The commission should further order this case be moved to a contested case proceeding or that a negotiated settlement be entered.
Thank you, investigator. I appreciate the report. I want to mention that I find this report, having read it several times since it was produced a day or so ago, to be marked by precision and, as far as I'm concerned, accuracy and helpful information for us. Colleagues, the time is now for us to decide how to proceed on this matter in light of the report you've now heard and perhaps have read. Any comments on questions for our investigator first? And then any comments, Vice Chair, please.
I just want to thank the investigator for her hard work on this report and for getting it to us today, despite the fact that you had multiple other investigations and apparently staff interviews to do as well. So I just wanted to thank the investigator for her hard work.
Concur. Any other, Commissioner Jancy, please, then Commissioner Halt.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a couple questions for the investigator. One, I understood you to say the position of Mr. Smith was that the OLDCC grant application approval process was sort of a stand-in for CDA approval. Am I correct, though, that there's evidence that Mr. Smith requested approval from the CDA board before the application was submitted?
That is true. It appears there were ongoing negotiations regarding his salary in November 2023 and December 2023 and January 2024. In January 2024, he specifically sent a memo to the CDA board members requesting a pay increase up to $238,000 and effectively demanded that it be taken up at the January 18th meeting. The January 18th CDA board meeting was canceled and it was never raised again.
Thank you. And then in your investigation, did you uncover any evidence that at any time before the CDA board confronted Mr. Smith in September that he had taken any actions to notify the board that the OLDCC had flagged the salary increase as excessive?
No, and in fact, the salary increase didn't raise the red flags for the OLDCC. Well, wait, I take that back. I'm sorry. You asked whether or not he made the board aware of whether or not the salary increase was excessive. And the answer to that is no. He did not make the entire board aware that the salary increase was deemed excessive by OLDCC. The only person there are two people that he allegedly spoke to regarding his salary increase. They were deemed, whether informal or formal, a subcommittee, was Board Chair Kim Puzzi and the executive director of, and she was a board member at the time, of the Port of Morrow, Lisa Mitzeldorf. But there's no indication that the information was shared with any other member of the board, and in fact seems unlikely given the politics of that board at the time.
And then one last question. Prior to Mr. Smith's directive that the salary be paid retroactively, had there been any is there any evidence that there had been any discussion about retroactivity of those pay increases?
No, none whatsoever. There was no indication that he raised the issue of salaries during the application approval process, and there was no motion, no vote on whether or not that pay increase should be retroactive to the extent he was entitled to it at all.
Okay, thank you for the thorough investigative report. Appreciate it.
I've got one question for Commissioner Halt. Did your investigation report, and if it did, I apologize if I missed it, but that's just part of life. Do you know what Mr. Smith's current salary is?
That I don't think I can answer that simply because the CDA is going through the process of potentially changing his position from executive director as a person and turning it into a contractor position where he would be the contractor who's in charge. And I don't know if that's been approved yet, but I know it's in the works to the extent it hasn't been approved already.
Thank you for your answer and to a tough question and maybe an irrelevant question in part, but thank you. Commissioner Halt, please.
Thank you. I have a few questions. First off, I wanted to ask if you had enough time to complete the report to your satisfaction.
Yes, I do. Thank you for that question. I have to commend all of the people that I reached out to over the course of the past few days. They responded immediately, provided what I needed immediately, and I think they understood that this was important. So yes, I do believe that I have everything that I can possibly get within this 30-day period that makes sense.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge your Herculean task in getting this done, and I wanted to make sure that you were happy with the work you were able to complete, because I think it was pretty amazing in this short amount of time. So I wanted to make sure we were looking at a complete report. Thank you. You also mentioned that there is a way that people would advocate for a raise, and I would like to know what that would be.
Sure. So what we wanted to do in this report and in my comments here is just to make clear that public officials are not prohibited from asking for a raise, and they're not prohibited from, submitting a request for a raise or taking steps if once they declare their conflict of interest, that they're authorized to negotiate with, like in this case, if he had board approval and he had declared a conflict of interest, then it likely wouldn't have resulted in a prohibited use of office, right? He had to take certain steps to ensure that he wasn't in violation of Oregon government ethics law in the process of advocating and obtaining that raise.
Did his role change from his initial salary to when this grant came in?
No, not that I am aware of, not that it came up. He has been the executive director since 2015. And that is still the role that he was serving at the time that the grant was approved, and he was specifically identified as a key employee as executive director in the grant application.
And my final question is, who asked for the retroactive pay And who did they ask it to?
So Greg Smith was the person who sent the email. He sent an email and attached the meeting minutes from the June 24th, 2024 CDA board meeting where the grant, I guess to establish that the grant application had been approved. He submitted that email to Eileen Hendricks from the Port of Morrow. She's the Chief Financial Officer. That email also included Lisa Mitzeldorf. And he just said that all raises that had been approved through the process should be implemented, and all those people should be paid retroactively. So he didn't limit it to himself. He implicated at least one other staff member who we know received a pay increase.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, any other questions? Good for us. TV.
Okay, where's the remote? We'll turn it back on. Oh, it's fine. Just a second. It'll be fine. Look at that. We're all good.
Sorry, technical.
They didn't have any technical.
Long enough to get the power off warning.
Wow. For them, it seemed fine. They all, their view.
Record-setting length of a meeting, just so you
You
know.
had the shortest meeting on record on Tuesday, and now you're gonna have the longest. All in a week.
Keep smiling, colleagues. Any other questions or comments before we head toward a decision on this matter? Thank you for the comments and questions so far. Hearing and seeing none, you ready to act on this matter before us? Vice Chair, you ready for a motion? If you are, please make it.
Okay,
Item 27 on our public session agenda.
27-A.
Pardon me, 27-A, pardon me.
okay. I move the commission find there is sufficient evidence Greg Smith has violated ORS 2440401. Wait, that's not right.
Yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay. No, okay. Nope, I'm good. I get it. Okay. I don't think I have the updated agenda as the problem, so I'm looking at the recommendation. Okay, starting over. I move the commission find there is sufficient evidence Greg Smith has violated ORS 2441201C and ORS 2440401, and the commission adopt the investigation report as its preliminary findings and order this case moved to a contested case proceeding or a negotiated settlement entered.
That's the accurate motion, Executive. I presume the answer is yes. You've heard the motion, colleagues. Any questions or comments on it before we seek a vote? Hearing and seeing none, the administrator will call the roll, please. Item 27-A.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Mettler,
Aye.
Commissioner Jancy,
Aye.
Commissioner Halt,
Aye.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
Chair Fiscom.
Aye.
Motion passed 7-0.
Hey, thank you, colleagues. Forging ahead, there's a number of items on your agenda that don't need action on our part. We're down to miscellaneous items.
Chair, we have my exec session.
I know that. We're going to go to that in a minute. We have a trainer's report first. I would suggest with the agreement of the trainer that the report stand as given to us, and if any questions come separately, if that's okay.
That is.
The executive director's report, can we do the same unless you have any questions on that? So we will now come to the election of chair and vice chair for 2026. Nominations are now open for the chair position, and asserting the prerogative of the chair, I will nominate that we elect Shanoa Payne as our chair for 2026. Are there any other nominations? I also exercise my prerogative to close nominations and move that we cast a unanimous ballot for Shanoa Payne as chair. Any discussion, comments, colleagues? Hearing and seeing none, the administrator will call the roll on that motion. Please proceed. Roll call.
Commissioner Mettler,
Aye.
Commissioner Jancy,
Aye.
Commissioner Halt,
Aye.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Aye.
does Commissioner Payne get to vote?
Unless I'm needed, I'll abstain.
Just don't vote no.
Financial benefit.
But there might be a financial detriment.
Chair Fisker.
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0 with 1 abstention.
Knuckles. Okay, colleagues, exercising the prerogative of the chair, perhaps one more time. With regard to the vice chair position, I hereby move that we elect Jonathan Thompson as vice chair. Are there any other motions to be made, colleagues? Hearing and seeing none, I also move that we cast a unanimous ballot for Jonathan Thompson as vice chair of the commission for 2026. Discussion? Hearing and seeing none, the administrator will call the roll on that motion. Please proceed.
Commissioner Mettler,
Aye.
Commissioner Jancy,
Aye.
Commissioner Halt,
Aye.
Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Abstain.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Chair Fisker.
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0 with 1 abstention.
Okay, colleagues, thank you for that. Those elections take effect as of the moment I leave the building, but probably effective January 9th.
Sign this for me.
January 1. They go into effect January 1.
January 1, they go into effect. Thank you for that. Okay, colleagues, we have one more item to discuss. That is going back into a different executive session. So I will allow our staff to tell me if the technology is ready to set up that executive session and to excuse others who may be online.
Yeah.